On 20 to 9. We're spot on as far as timing goes because my next guest is in the studio now. Nicky Moran is a person who's devoted her life now to completing over 220 voluntary behind bars concerts in all 18 prisons in New Zealand. And I was curious to find out what's driving her for that. And she's also embarked on a fairly extensive New Zealand-wide prison tour gospel concert. So she's in the studio now, just had a nice cup of tea or coffee, was it, to sort of get you started for the day. Welcome, Nicky. Thanks for joining us on the Free Breakfast.
Thank you, Mike.
This is quite a project. Where did it come from? Give me the background.
Well, actually, in a time in my life when I was pretty messed up physically and broken, I was sick with chemical poisoning in bed. I got woken up in the night with a dream by the Lord, well, a poke really, and He put in my heart, this is what I have for you. There was a number of steps to get there, including start a business account and get training and develop your skill further. And I applied for prison, couldn't get in. I applied for 3 years, couldn't get in.
What do you mean you applied to get in as a visitor?
As a
and
visitor,
be able
as a
to do the
volunteer,
tours? Right.
to actually just in some respect, in some way, shape or form, do music in a prison,
Right.
and to encourage.
What were you thinking first of? Were you thinking of getting into prisons to work with music with inmates in some kind of
I thought it might be like a
teaching environment?
No, it's probably more of a sing songs of encouragement and hope, and possibly with a church team but just the idea was just to bring encouragement and hope with music as being the vehicle to because it opens people up and releases, even if there's language barriers. If people can hear your hope in your heart when you sing it out, they receive it. So if their heart's in a place that can open up, and often they've lost hope and they've lost so much encouragement that they can't find their way through. But if you actually start to believe in who you are and find out your identity and feel hope, and it comes alive for you, that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, you can work towards it, you can come alive. So I kind of always knew that there was a spark of hope for every person, and the Lord gave me, he woke me up and he kind of showed me, even if there's a tiny little sparkle of light in a person, even if there's only darkness and they've never seen that light even in themselves, speak to that and grow that up and tell them that they're beautiful, tell them that there's somebody who loves them and that there's potential for them yet, and their life, while they're still living and breathing, there's still life ahead, there's still a plan that you could have an incredible life. Even if you never leave jail, you can still have an incredible, satisfying life. And so I tried really hard to get in. In the first 3 years I couldn't get in. So I said to the Lord, I'm going to stop praying your stinky prayer and I'm not going to try. If you want me to get in, you better do it. And within an hour I got a phone call from a church group in another town and said, can you come and be on our team? That's when I kind of gave it up, and so on and off over about 7 years. I did it a year and then I had to lay it down again. My work was too demanding, and family life, little kids, laid it all down. And then about 5 years ago I went into Rolleston on a one-off day when I was doing a national tour to do a double album release, and just did prisons and one prison and pubs and clubs and camping grounds. And the best day ever was Rolleston, and they said, you should do this in every jail, and they gave me a letter of recommendation, and it kind of
and
unfolded.
You said, well,
from
I've
there.
been trying.
Yeah, well, I kind of, there was a lot of prayer and a lot of people kind of got in behind it. I just said, this is the dream in my heart, and I need to go into every jail and share hope and light with gospel flavoured songs. So I use songs that everyone would know, like U2 and Joe Cocker.
But it's a message of hope and things that
yeah,
that you're getting
and some originals, yeah. But it's a message of hope and encouragement, and yeah, it's really accepted quite well. Yeah, some people really just show it. Some people don't show it, but all the facade comes down, the barriers come down, tough, exteriors come down throughout the concert more, and by the end they're like really open to hope, encourage and faith.
Well, something you said right at the start there actually strikes a chord, if you'll pardon the musical reference, but when you said that language barriers aren't there when you've got music, and it's evident when you go to watch something like an opera sung in Italian or German or whatever the language may be. You don't need to understand word for word what's being said. The music and the intent of the song that's being sung
Yeah.
gets through all that. And I
Yeah.
guess that's key to what you're doing, because even if somebody may be resistant to the idea, I'm not interested in any rotten old gospel songs, where's my heavy rock? Once the music does its work, that's a barrier that gets broken down, isn't it?
Yeah, and I find even like some guards will say to me, "Oh, I come from another country. This is my second language, and I have a different spiritual, background. I feel so welcome in your show. I can't wait for you to come back. Why do I feel so good when you're there?"
So you're not there to preach.
So I'm a real life Christian who trusts in Jesus and just want to share his love. So I tell them that you're loved, you're beautiful, you're precious. There's a loving Father. Check him out. He's good. Look him up. He's really good. Here's his number.
You alluded to your own personal journey at the beginning, and it sounds from what you've described, we're looking at the thick part of 10 years or so that you've been involved in this. Yeah. Your musical background before that was mainly classical.
Yeah, I did 12 years of classical training and with 3 personal tutors, and went up to LTCL, that's the Licentiate at Trinity College, as a teacher. And I always worked full-time with a desk job or a day job, and I had part-time up to 10 students with little concerts.
That's a fairly familiar scenario
on
for a lot
side,
of people involved in teaching music, isn't it?
A little bit of playing in pizzerias, and I liked to play in piano bars and things.
Yeah.
And worked on a cruise ship temporarily, but aligned to the music, but not quite in that venue. Yeah, so I always had it in me, and it was actually my good voice. I wanted to sing, but my good voice kicked in after having babies, and some of the allergies that I'd suffered had eased. And about 35, my true voice kicked in. It was like a duck strangled pretty much up till that point. It was really bad.
I think you're being a bit hard on yourself.
No, it's true.
Well, it's something that doesn't matter when you find your voice, does it? As long as you find it.
I think you find it, and do what you love, and love what you do. And for me, I do it all for the glory of God. I used to try and do it all for myself, and I had no satisfaction. At the end of the night, I'd come home, my husband would be like, "Well, how'd you go tonight, hon? Did you wow them?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was all right." But now that I do it, that it's beyond me for someone, for people to benefit, and God be the one in the spotlight, not me. So, who goes to all the jails and does all their concert behind bars so no one gets to see it? Nobody in the public can see it. Only people that have, committed a crime get to do it. So there's no real prestige there. I'm really looking to see people's lives like shine, and really looking to see them find who they are and come out different, and be encouraged to make good choices, and know who the Lord is. If that's their path, they want to follow him, that's great.
This is a hell of a commitment for you.
That's huge.
And it's become full-time. I'm guessing that doing things like the gig at Nivara Lounge is part of the practical side of things, that you still got to pay the bills at the end of the day and pay for travel and so on. So Is that how that all works together? You do the public concerts as well, the public gigs to fund what you're doing in the prisons, because you're not going to get rich on that.
This is the first time I'm doing a deliberate prison show in a public venue, like in a bar, and it's more to showcase what the prison show's like, because nobody's seen it out in the public. They'll go, do I have to rob a bank to come and see your show? I'm like, no, you can come down to Nivara. But I do have optional koha, and we mention if you want to support what I do, that people can choose or not choose to do that. And I have albums for sale, and each album just covers itself. And so as the next one, I'm launching 2 new albums. So as I sell the old ones, they now sow into the new project, into the new tour. I have a sponsor too, I must say. Message to the sponsor, Life Plus Community Trust, who run through Ham South Baptist, heard one of my reports back after multiple concerts in behind bars, and they said, we want to support what you do.
Good.
Tell us about your travel costs. What's your biggest bugbear? I said, it's admin. So they said, all right, we'll sponsor you an admin person who works alongside me. Shout out to Wendy. So she's just finished all her admin with me for this tour. So we work on it probably 6 months pretty intensively. And I also work part-time as a mental health nurse in a forensics facility. So that's kind of a prisoner hospital.
Crikey, what do you do in your spare time?
Write songs.
Nicky, you're about to launch your tour,
Yeah.
and part of that is involving 2 concerts at Waikeria Prison on the 17th and 18th, but you start on Sunday, going right through till, well, virtually a full month on the road, finishing up on the 18th of October. That's a long time away from family as well, or are you making as many of these sort of day trips as you can?
So we've got 3 day trips to start with, then 8 days in the Auckland Northland area. And I've got 5 different drivers, but as I come back to Hamilton, Nivara's like the first leg, I'm all done, I'm home 3 nights, and then my husband joins me.
Cool.
So he'll be with me for a week as a driver getting from Hamilton to Wellington. Then I post him home on the aeroplane and get a new driver in the South Island and one more to fly me. She flies down to Wellington and drives me all the way home. So yeah, I do see my husband at the start and in the middle, so it's kind of 2 weeks away from him and 3 weeks away from my kids, but they're older teenage now. So
I get a sense from the way that this is structured that this is a bit of an experiment to see how this might go on that sort of scale. Do you have kind of like a master plan or something that you're hoping to achieve that goes on from here?
So I try and have my ear to the heavens, and I think pretty much touring Australia and the UK is on the cards. Probably a couple of years away before I start trying to get into those markets. I'm looking at actually cruise ships as a transportation means, doing some kind of gospel shows or some classic rock 70s kind of stuff to transition myself over to those other countries, so get a little bit known as a guest entertainer. You can get on and off and you can take your gear, and then I could perhaps to Australia and perhaps catch a ship over to England or the States. But my heart is really to do either the small towns or the out of the way places, or places that no one else wants to go. I want to do shows, gospel shows in those towns, gospel shows in those prisons, the ones that are the hardest to get at or the most remote that no one goes there. So like in New Zealand, I go to Otago and Invercargill, and they go, no one comes to us. I go up to Nafa, that's in Kaikoui. No one comes up here. It's really hard to get in, but once you're there, they so appreciate it, even the staff, and it's just go travel the path less trod, So I just want to go into a different path and go to the darkest places I can find. I have a heart to go into the gang central, wherever I can find, the gang HQs and stuff. We'll have to see how that goes. I need some big angels to come with me. But I just want to be fearless and walk out the path that has been shown to me and bring a message of hope and love, and it's possible to change. It is possible. Yeah, you don't have to stay in the place that you're at. Yeah.
It sounds like you're not only so focused, but you're also driven to do this, and I'm sure that you will achieve the things that you set out to do, Nicky. I suspect we're going to see your name sort of resurfacing from time to time over the next couple of years or so as you work towards those things. But it's been really nice to meet you this morning, and people wanting to catch your gig at Nivara Lounge. It is the 26th of September. That's partway through your tour, and it's only a $5 entry. But you'll be demonstrating there what you're doing in the prisons and so on. Yeah. Best of luck for your continued work, and I'm full of admiration for your commitment to what you're doing and the just the drive that you've got to do something positive for people who often are in prison, not necessarily because they're bad people, but just things get on top of you, don't they?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, Mike, and for allowing me to come and share my heart. And people are people wherever you go, and I think this one thing that when I go into the jails, the funny thing is you say, we all do bad stuff, but only some of us get caught, eh?
True.
And they laugh because, sometimes we've all done things we don't want anyone to know about.
Yeah.
And some of us get found out. So, we've all got a past, and there's somebody who wants to forgive us if we're willing to turn to him. So, yeah.
Well, best of luck for the launch of the tour on Sunday. Thanks so much for joining us this morning on the Free Breakfast, Nicky Moran.
Thank you, Mike.
Lovely. Oh, you speak so well about what you're doing. It must be